Hello everyone and welcome back to Dissecting Dimensions, a series of videos made by yours truly breaking down every single franchise represented inside LEGO Dimensions. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Jurassic World franchise and the way that film specifically is represented within the extended content of the game. At the time of Dimensions release, there was only one film out for this game to go off of though, so even though the franchise has had sequels since, they are not present at all within the game. Of course, Jurassic World is based on the original Jurassic Park movies and loosely tied to those films, but Jurassic World was very much trying to do its own separate thing at the same time, and that's what this content is based on. Now, Jurassic Park? That's a great movie. The special effects are incredible for a film of that time period and is still widely loved by many to this day. But aside from the first film, I haven't seen any others. In fact, I have literally zero interest in or connection to Jurassic World. I've never seen any of the films made under the moniker, and quite frankly, I'm just not a dinosaur guy much anymore. As a kid, yeah, but unfortunately I've pretty much moved past that phase in my life. Still, I want to give this portion of LEGO Dimensions a fair shot, so why don't we just go ahead and get into the characters featured in the game, shall we? First up, Owen Grady, the main character of the film, portrayed by none other than Chris Pratt, whom we've already heard when discussing Emmett from the LEGO Movie. And yes, they got him back from the original film to voice this character in the game too. I mean, to be fair, they already had him for the LEGO Movie, so they may as well have used him again here, right? Anyways, Owen as a character isn't all that special. His four abilities consist of the Vine Cut ability, which lets him cut down vines, go figure. He can use the Stealth ability to turn invisible and avoid cameras, he can shoot targets with his tranquilizer gun, and he can use the Tracking ability to find clues in hidden objects. He also comes with the Knife accessory and the Velociraptor as his vehicle, which is pretty fun to ride around on in the game, I can't lie. Combat-wise though, I really can't stand how slow his attacks are. I mean, there is a ton of build-up in between swings, and it just leaves the character wide open for damage all too frequently. I wish that he was a bit more fast-paced when it came to that aspect of him. His mobility is that of a standard human too. There's honestly not a lot going for him other than the Vine Cut ability and tracking abilities that I mentioned, which are only possessed by a few select characters, so that makes him kind of unique, but not really. Even still though, because Jurassic World is locked behind his team pack, with it being the only pack released for the franchise, he is a required character as a result. But I wouldn't recommend him for anything else other than unlocking the world. This one's gonna be short and sweet. The ACU Trooper is a nameless, generic character that represents the Asset Containment Unit professionals featured in the Jurassic World film. He doesn't have a name, but he is voiced by Robin Atkin Downes for what that's worth. Ability-wise, he is also pretty uninteresting. He can use electricity and the illumination abilities, the latter of which Gandalf, one of the three mandatory characters of the game, already possesses. He's still got more abilities than Marty McFly though. Ultimately, the ACU Trooper is just a bland and completely unnecessary character that I don't think needed to be included if I'm being honest. The best part about his character is that he comes with the Gyrosphere vehicle as featured in the film. I guess that's cool at least. Oh, and his character accessory is the Shock Rod. I don't consider him mandatory because Owen is just the better character to get for the Jurassic World franchise, but if you buy the team pack, you get him anyways, so the ACU Trooper is mandatory, but only by a technicality. Interestingly enough, just like Legends of Chima, Jurassic World is the only other franchise out of year one that did not get any form of story mode representation featured in the game. As such, there's not really a whole lot to say here. In my video on the Legends of Chima Adventure World, and possibly one other, I had made reference to the fact that Jurassic World was represented inside a story mode level, that being the Lord of the Rings level specifically, in LEGO Dimensions. I would like to rescind that comment because, as several people have informed me, the area that I was naming as being a reference to Jurassic World was actually a reference to Doctor Who. Ergo, there is no story mode section to talk about in this video anymore because it's a completely different franchise. I was going to bring mention to it here right now, but again, because this is not a Jurassic World area, I'm going to be saving it for a later time. That said, the only story mode representation inside the game is in the Foundation Prime level. The 12th story mode level, Prime Time, which is set in Foundation Prime, also hosts the Jurassic World minikits of the game, although there is nothing represented in the actual level, which is odd. The minikit for Jurassic World is the very same Velociraptor that Owen's vehicle acts as in the game, and you can find it over here in the Adventure World. However, it is the exact same minigame as some previous minikits like the one in the Portal Adventure World and Back to the Future Adventure World, so there's nothing new here in terms of minigames.
I know how pteranodons feel!
Alright, well, now that that's all out of the way, let's go ahead and just dive into the main course of the video, the Jurassic World Adventure World. That kind of sounds redundant. Anyways, kicking off with the red brick of the Adventure World, this unlockable in particular grants the extra feature in which all enemies in the game spawn raptor hats and tails. You can essentially go into any level and start fighting dinosaur-themed baddies anywhere you'd like. Honestly though, it's just a cosmetic brick akin to the Back to the Future ones, so it's not much of a gameplay improvement, making it a brick that I can't really recommend you prioritize. This is one of the last bricks in the entire game that I would spend the studs on, if I'm being honest. Also, for some reason I had a really hard time getting this brick to spawn for whatever reason. There were numerous times where I would fly a certain distance away from its spawn point so it would pop up on the map, but then it would just like instantly pop back out of existence when I tried to turn around and go after it. Seems a bit buggier than most of the other red bricks I've encountered, but maybe this was just a fluke. Another thing I want to mention, I guess, while I'm on the subject of bugs, is that this Adventure World in particular has several graphical issues that I feel are necessary to bring up. The pop-in is especially bad, worse here than numerous other Adventure Worlds. I mean, just look at this on screen. I don't know if this area just wasn't optimized, or if it's trying to load more than the average Adventure World, or what, but I mean, these things just pop in and out of nowhere whenever you fly around. I also noticed areas where textures didn't line up to the environment or layers weren't properly placed within it, which led to areas looking like this, and it came across as very wonky. These graphical errors aren't deal breakers by any means, I'm just saying I noticed this problem more here than in any other Adventure World so far. Moving on to renovations next. There's 6 in this Adventure World, totaling at 295,000 studs needed to afford all of them. Most of these renovations are just statues that you can find around the park, such as the dinosaur battle statue, the John Hammond statue, which is a reference to the CEO of the original Jurassic Park within the film universe, and the dinosaur skeleton, which is cool as well. The jukebox is also located in the game here as per usual, and there are also renovations for the raptor cages, which lets you unlock a gold brick via this lever timing puzzle, and last but not least, the bait trap for this Mosasaurus to come up and eat. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I never watched the film, I don't know anything about this dinosaur, so I'm just kinda winging it. Moving on to quests. First up, the quest given by Lowry, located in the Hammond Creation Lab underneath the main attraction.
Hey bud, what'd you think of this? Cute little puppy-sized dinosaurs, which never get big and never bite your arm off. That sounds pretty sweet, right? And with all that gene splicing machinery in the lab, I bet anyone could make one.
Down here, Lowry tasks the player with creating a new form of life in the form of the chicken teddy bear T-Rex hybrid creature, and then he gives you a gold brick for it. It's a pretty easy puzzle to solve, just listen to what he has to say and make sure you have a character with the technology ability, otherwise you won't be able to complete the puzzle. I should actually mention that almost every Jurassic World character featured in this Adventure World is actually voiced by the same actor that played them in the movie, so that's really cool. Especially because some of these actors didn't return for the official LEGO Jurassic World video game. Next up, a quest from Gray Mitchell.
I saw something in the water. I thought they were turtles, but they might have been plagodons or some other kind of marine reptiles. Whatever they were, they looked scared.
And I've said this before in other videos, but I hate underwater sequences in video games. This quest was no exception at first, as you have to swim into the Mosasaurus area and rescue these 3 turtles from being eaten by simply just swimming up to them and pressing circle. In all honesty, my phobia wasn't getting the better of me in this area that bad because the dinosaur is made out of Legos and it doesn't actually seem to go after you or chase you, so I wasn't stressing out that much. But still, I hate these sequences in video games regardless. regardless, and when I first heard this mission, a shiver went down my spine to say the least. All in all though, it's not bad.
Gray's been bugging me to ride a gyrosphere with him, but since those dinosaurs started tearing this place up, there's just stuff everywhere, blocking the way.
The third quest is given by Gray's brother, Zach, in which you need to escort them through the area, either destroying the objects that are in the way or fighting off the raptors that come to attack. Not really a fan of this mission, it gets super repetitive super quick, and it doesn't hold my interest as much as other missions have. Fourth comes the quest assigned by Simon Masrani.
I suppose you have come to rescue me. I can assure you I have everything under control here.
And this is your typical fight off X number of enemies and you get a gold brick mission. Oddly enough though, you don't actually ever kill the raptors in this game, or any of the living dinosaur enemy types for that matter. After you hit them enough, they actually end up just running away and fading out of existence instead, which is an interesting detail I noticed. But yeah, it's just mindless beating up the enemies, so nothing more to say on this one either. And last but not least is Claire's mission.
You haven't seen any eggs like this one around, have you? The security camera caught some of the female dinosaurs taking them from the lab in the recent, confusion.
Which is the collect X number of items in the Adventure World mission. This time, however, the eggs are scattered around within a smaller vicinity, which makes it easier to manage, and there are dinosaurs attacking you because they believe themselves to be the mothers of the eggs when in actuality, as Claire explains, they belong to a different species entirely, which is why she tasks the player with collecting them. It's fine enough, and there's only 10 eggs to collect, so it's not too bad. And yeah, that just about wraps up the fifth and final main quest featured in the Jurassic World Adventure World. In all honesty, I don't have much more to add beyond this. The environment certainly seems accurate to the one that's featured in the film based on the trailer footage I've seen, but as a non-fan, I could not get immersed or notice as many of the intentional references that I'm sure are present here as I did in other videos like, say, the Portal video. The cynical side of me thinks that Jurassic World may have only been included in the game because LEGO had released its own LEGO Jurassic World video game directly before Dimensions, and in fact the final ending credit sequence of that game actually teases Dimensions, believe it or not, so there's actually a connecting tie there. But hey, maybe they could easily reuse the same assets featured in that title for this game as well. It would also explain why there's no story mode inclusion and only one team pack released for the franchise with nothing else in addition to it. But hey, that's just personal speculation and I could be entirely wrong about that. Honestly, I don't have that much to say about the Jurassic World franchise, and honestly, I'm kind of getting a little burnt out with these LEGO Dimensions videos because it feels like I'm doing the same exact thing over and over again. Apologies for the shorter than usual video this time around, I just really don't have that much more to add on this one. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video as short as it was. Until next time, Shadowstreak signing off.